Wiremold steel surface raceway is permissible for use in New York City, contingent upon adherence to the New York City Electrical Code, or NYCECC, and other pertinent codes and standards. The New York City Electrical Code is based on the National Electrical Code, but it incorporates additional local amendments and requirements. Wiremold steel surface raceway serves as a type of electrical raceway designed to protect and conceal electrical wiring on the surfaces of walls, ceilings, and floors. It is constructed from galvanized steel and is available in various sizes and configurations. The NYCECC stipulates specific requirements for the installation of electrical raceways. Here are some key considerations. Firstly, conductors must be securely fastened within the raceway. Secondly, connections within the raceway must be made in approved junction boxes. Thirdly, the raceway must be properly grounded. An MB cable, also known as Romex cable, can be installed within Wiremold raceways. In addition to the NYCECC requirements, several other factors warrant consideration when utilizing Wiremold steel surface raceway in New York City. One such factor is aesthetics. Surface raceway is visible, therefore, selecting a style and color that complements the building's interior design is essential. Another factor is accessibility. Raceway should not impede access to electrical panels, outlets, or other equipment. Also, consider fire safety. Raceway should be installed in accordance with fire safety codes to mitigate the spread of fire. The grounding of electrical systems is a critical safety measure designed to protect individuals from electrical shock and to prevent damage to equipment. In the context of Wiremold steel surface raceway, proper grounding is essential to ensure that the raceway itself does not become a source of electrical hazard. Grounding involves creating a low-resistance path for fault current to flow back to the source, thereby tripping a circuit breaker or fuse and energizing the circuit. This process prevents the buildup of dangerous voltage on the raceway. The NYCECC, like the NEC, mandates that all metal raceways, including Wiremold, be properly grounded. This typically involves connecting the raceway to the equipment grounding conductor, which is a dedicated wire within the electrical system that is connected to the grounding electrode system of the building. There are several methods for grounding Wiremold raceway. One common approach is to use grounding clips or clamps that are specifically designed for use with Wiremold. These clips attach to the raceway and provide a secure connection point for the grounding conductor. Another method involves using grounding bushings at the point where conductors enter or exit the raceway. These bushings provide a conductive path between the raceway and the grounding conductor. The selection of the appropriate grounding method depends on the specific installation conditions and the requirements of the NYCECC. Regardless of the method used, it is crucial to ensure that the grounding connection is secure and provides a low-resistance path to ground. Regular inspection and testing of the grounding system are also recommended to verify its effectiveness. Failure to properly ground Wiremold raceway can result in a dangerous electrical hazard. If a fault occurs within the wiring, the raceway can become energized, posing a risk of electric shock to anyone who comes into contact with it. A properly grounded raceway will provide a safe path for the fault current to flow, tripping a circuit breaker and preventing a potentially fatal shock. Electrical connections within Wiremold raceways must be made within approved junction boxes. This requirement is crucial for ensuring the safety and reliability of the electrical system. Junction boxes provide a secure and protected enclosure for electrical connections, preventing accidental contact with live wires and reducing the risk of fire. The NYCECC specifies the types of junction boxes that are approved for use in electrical installations. These boxes must be made of durable materials such as metal or plastic and must be properly sized to accommodate the number and size of conductors being connected. Junction boxes must also be securely mounted to the building structure. When making connections within a junction box, it is important to use approved connectors and to follow proper wiring techniques. Conductors must be properly stripped, spliced, and insulated to prevent short circuits and ground faults. The connections must be tight and secure to ensure reliable electrical contact. The NYCECC prohibits the use of certain types of connections within junction boxes, such as wire nuts that are not listed for use with a specific type of conductor being used. It is also important to avoid overcrowding the junction box, as this can make it difficult to make proper connections and can increase the risk of overheating. Overcrowding can also make it difficult to access the connections for future maintenance or repairs. The use of approved junction boxes and proper wiring techniques is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical connections within Wiremold raceways. Improperly made connections can lead to a variety of problems, including short circuits, ground faults, overheating, and even fires. NMB cable, commonly known as Romex cable, can be installed in Wiremold raceways. NMB cable is a non-metallic sheath cable that is commonly used for residential wiring. It consists of 2 or more insulated conductors enclosed in a non-metallic jacket. The NYCECC permits the use of NMB cable in dry locations such as within walls, ceilings, and floors. When installing NMB cable in Wiremold raceway, it is important to ensure that the raceway is properly sized to accommodate the cable. The raceway must be large enough to allow the cable to be installed without being stretched or damaged. It is also important to avoid overcrowding the raceway, as this can make it difficult to install and maintain the cable. The NYCECC has specific requirements for the support and securing of NMB cable. The cable must be supported at intervals not exceeding 4.5 feet and must be secured within 12 inches of any box or fitting. When installing NMB cable in Wiremold raceway, it is important to use approved fittings and connectors. These fittings must be designed for use with NMB cable and must provide a secure and reliable connection. It is also important to avoid damaging the cable during installation. The cable must be handled carefully to avoid nicks, cuts, or abrasions to the insulation. Damaged cable can be a safety hazard and must be replaced. The installation of an NMB cable in Wiremold raceway can provide a neat and professional appearance to the wiring. It also provides protection for the cable from physical damage. However, it is important to follow all applicable codes and standards to ensure that the installation is safe and reliable. Conductors within Wiremold raceways must be securely fastened. This requirement is essential for preventing damage to the conductors and for ensuring the reliability of the electrical system. If conductors are not properly fastened, they can move around within the raceway, potentially rubbing against the edges of the raceway or against other conductors. This can cause damage to the insulation, leading to short circuits or ground faults. The NYCECC specifies the methods that are approved for fastening conductors within raceways. One common method is to use cable ties or straps. These ties or straps are used to bundle the conductors together and to secure them to the raceway. Another method is to use cable cleats or clamps. These cleats or clamps are designed to grip the conductors and to hold them securely in place. The selection of the appropriate fastening method depends on the size and type of conductors being used and on the specific installation conditions. Regardless of the method used, it is important to ensure that the conductors are securely fastened and that they are not subjected to excessive stress or strain. The spacing between fastening points should be in accordance with the NYCECC requirements. In addition to fastening the conductors within the raceway, it is also important to provide adequate support for the raceway itself. The raceway must be supported at intervals not exceeding the distances specified in the NYCECC. Proper support will prevent the raceway from sagging or bending, which can damage the conductors and create a safety hazard. The aesthetic considerations are important when using Wiremold steel surface raceway. Surface raceway is visible, so it is important to choose a style and color that complements the building's interior design. Wiremold is available in a variety of colors and finishes to match different architectural styles. It is also available in different sizes and shapes to accommodate different wiring needs. When selecting Wiremold, it is important to consider the overall appearance of the installation. The raceway should be installed in a neat and professional manner, with all fittings and connectors properly aligned. The raceway should also be kept clean and free of dust and debris. In some cases, it may be desirable to paint the Wiremold to match the surrounding walls or ceilings. This can help to conceal the raceway and to make it less noticeable. However, it is important to use a paint that is compatible with the Wiremold material and to follow the manufacturer's instructions for painting. In addition to the appearance of the raceway itself, it is also important to consider the appearance of the wiring. The wiring should be neatly organized within the raceway and should be free of kinks or sharp bends. The conductors should be properly labeled to identify their function. The overall goal is to create an electrical installation that is both functional and aesthetically pleasing. By carefully considering the aesthetic considerations, it is possible to create a Wiremold installation that enhances the appearance of the building. Accessibility is a crucial factor to consider when using Wiremold steel surface raceway. Raceway should not obstruct access to electrical panels, outlets, or other equipment. Electrical panels need to be readily accessible for maintenance, repairs, and inspections. If a raceway is installed in front of an electrical panel, it can make it difficult or impossible to open the panel door and to access the components inside. This can create a safety hazard and can delay repairs. Outlets and other electrical equipment also need to be easily accessible for use. If a raceway is installed in a location that blocks access to an outlet, it can make it difficult to plug in appliances or other devices. This can be inconvenient and can also create a safety hazard. When planning the installation of Wiremold raceway, it is important to carefully consider the location of electrical panels, outlets, and other equipment. The raceway should be installed in a way that does not obstruct access to these components. If it is necessary to install the raceway in front of an electrical panel or other equipment, it may be possible to use a removable section of raceway that can be easily detached to provide access. It is also important to ensure that the raceway does not create a tripping hazard. The raceway should be installed in a location where it is not likely to be stepped on or tripped over. If the raceway is installed in a high-traffic area, it may be necessary to use a cover or guard to protect it from damage and to prevent tripping hazards. Fire safety is paramount when using Wiremold steel surface raceway. Raceway should be installed in accordance with fire safety codes to prevent the spread of fire. The NYCECC and other fire safety codes have specific requirements for the installation of electrical wiring in buildings. These requirements are designed to prevent electrical fires and to limit the spread of fire if one does occur. One of the key fire safety requirements is to use fire-rated materials for electrical wiring. Fire-rated materials are designed to resist the spread of fire and to prevent the release of toxic fumes. Wiremold steel surface raceway is a fire-rated material that can be used in fire-rated walls and ceilings. When installing Wiremold in fire-rated construction, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation. The raceway must be properly sealed to prevent the passage of fire and smoke. It is also important to use fire-rated fittings and connectors. Another fire safety requirement is to properly ground the electrical system. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping a circuit breaker or fuse and energizing the circuit. This prevents the buildup of dangerous voltage on the raceway and reduces the risk of electric shock. It is also important to avoid overloading electrical circuits. Overloading can cause the wires to overheat, which can lead to a fire. The NYCECC specifies the maximum allowable current for different sizes of wire. When using Wiremold, it is important to select the correct size of raceway to accommodate the wiring without overcrowding it. Overcrowding can cause the wires to overheat and can also make it difficult to install and maintain the wiring. By following all applicable fire safety codes and standards, it is possible to create a Wiremold installation that is both safe and reliable.